Hey, everybody. Welcome into the podcast. Keith, how you doing, buddy? That's Keith over there.
What's up?
I'm Jay.
Everybody, and Jay.
How's it going, man? Been a while?
Well, yeah.
Been a while. Yeah.
Well, yeah. To us, because we pre-recorded so many of these. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been kind of...
But not anymore. We're back to almost live. They're coming out in hopes the week we record them.
Absolutely, yeah. We're gonna try to be a little bit more consistent with that. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. Keith, man, you did an amazing job pulling that off with all the equipment and stuff, and the new software that we could use to simultaneously broadcast to YouTube and Facebook. So that was fun stuff, man.
They weren't Christmas vacation, all these, RV, they're not kidding around, man. The reason you get a big RV is so you can haul like your entire house with you when you travel.
Hey, trust me,
audio gear and all. When
you brought me to the campground and got me involved in your inventory that you were taking, I found out real quick that this dude is very serious.
So, queen size bed, brought him in the rig. There's a storage that most RVs have in the master bed, a flip up on hydraulic struts like your car, like your back hatch of your car, sometimes hoods. And so it's same principle. And I lifted that thing up and it was packed full of just audio video equipment.
I mean, you were just like, do you want one of these? Do you need this? Or, I was like a kid in a candy store, man, looking at all.
It's the most secure. It was right in the middle of, if anything were to happen in an accident or whatever, just right in the middle of the rig.
Yeah, makes sense. I love the rig too, man. And you got the extra space outside where you got that extra room with the sliding door.
Yeah. It's where you go out. The
garage, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the nice little patio deck off the back of that, which is pretty cool as well. So, props to you on that rig, man. Nice rig.
Thanks.
I really enjoyed it. And the George Foreman grill, by the way, people. George Foreman, if you're listening to this, man, we had a hamburger on that thing, and it was delicious.
It's for electric. It does a good job, and I'm not trying to start a whole electric versus gas argument. It's easier for me when I travel with that thing to hook up the electric grill. I've got a plug right there and a generator.
I was blown away. You're telling me how well it cooks pizzas, man.
We do pizzas on it.
I would have never in a million years thought that you would do a pizza on the George Foreman grill, but there you go.
It's tasty. It works.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, right?
This is the round one, so it's got the lid. I'll see if I can find a link to it, and if we can, we'll put it on the mention on the podcast.
Right. That sounds great. So your trip was good out. We talked about that on the last podcast, and I was glad that you made it safely. But we're going to be getting into something a little later in this podcast that Keith had to endure for a very short period of time until he could get back home. So we will...
So what did we... I'm looking this up here. I sent you the photo. Total miles round trip on the trip computer, 5,524.7.
Yeah, I looked at that.
And that's from my driveway to basically your backyard.
Right.
Just down the hill.
Round trip. Yep. So
now we went through, it wasn't... Well, it was a pretty straight shot.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Right. Well, here's the biggest thing. Did the little one enjoy himself out here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought he would, yeah. He did. He seemed to, and he was quite the cameraman.
So every time we do these, we always ask him, what was your favorite part? And we do a lot of, diverse stuff. And this did not come as a surprise. We sometimes use that, I'll use it for future trips. I'll help, I know what he likes. I can kind of plan stuff in. But his favorite part of the whole trip was going to Friday Harbor.
Oh, because
he got to ride the ferries and see the float planes.
Very cool. I knew that. Hey, man, I'm an adult and I love to just get on a boat, and we'll do that again. Actually, this weekend, we have some family coming over, and then I have some more family coming into town the middle of the next week, and we'll be headed back over there. So this will be our third trip to Friday Harbor in less than 2 weeks. So it'll be fun.
It's about time to buy your own boat, isn't it?
No. I don't want that. I don't want that headache, man. I don't want that headache. Hey, Dick, if you're listening, of course, Dick was on our Dick was on our last live
yeah.
podcast. He came in and talked to us a little bit about his Hyundai. How he wanted to let you know about how to pronounce Hyundai, and that was kind of funny. But Dick, if you're listening, man, we've got to get together and do that video on your boat. He's got a nice 40-footer old wooden boat that I keep talking about, and I'd love to get it. And I was wrong. It wasn't an N14 Cummins. It was a V904 is what he has. And it's still a Cummins, but it's a V block, not an inline. So. What? What, am I boring
I
you?
think getting off the nerd end of the diving board there.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, man. Yeah. Hey, people, come on. Wake up.
So,
don't get lost.
So obviously went through the Badlands and Glacier National Park and out to Anacortes to Union Tavern, back through Mount Rainier, went through Idaho, which was beautiful. Idaho's very diverse north to south. Went through the southern part.
Yeah, when you're up in the panhandle or the chimney is what most people call it, that little narrow strip between Washington and Montana right through there. Coming through there on I-90 through Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, we did
coming
that.
Down into the Spokane Valley. Oh, it's just gorgeous, man. Love it.
Yeah.
Coeur d'Alene's a nice little spot to go on vacation.
So, and there's all this, and by the way, so we've got a lot of videos. By the time this podcast airs on YouTube, go check out our YouTube channel, Parts Counter. Is it the Parts Counter Gurus, Jay?
It is, yes.
If you just search YouTube for the Parts Counter Gurus, you'll find our channel, and we've got all kinds of new video content that's coming out as we speak.
Yes.
And there's been a ton of things in the auto industry, both that have happened in the past 30 days, and then there's some pretty exciting things that are about to happen.
Right. There's
over the next 30 to 60 days.
Right.
So we're chock full of content. Just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already.
Right.
Please, that would be a big. So people, I get asked this sometimes, and they're like, well, "Why is that a big deal?" Well, because Google, who owns YouTube, limits us to we can't get paid for the ads that Google runs on our videos until we have a certain number, until we have 1,000 subscribers.
Well, that's a little,
and
that
is that right?
Well, 1,000 is a level that you want to get to, but I think you have to have 10,000 subscribers to really benefit.
Okay,
but
let's just.
But 1,000 is a great goal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting there. We're coming up, and for all of you that are listening, our current subscribers, we really, really appreciate it.
You.
We picked up quite a few over the last 2 weeks. A lot from the live podcast. Especially some of the listeners on Facebook, which I was really surprised. I think the Facebook listeners were pretty engaged through that whole time. I looked at some of the analytics on it, so thank you guys so much for the Facebook likes, the subscriptions. I am working on something right now, and I haven't run it by Keith yet, and we're going to get together in a business meeting and talk about this. But I think I want to offer all of our new listeners, anybody who may be new that is coming in to subscribe. If you subscribe, I need to find out whether or not we can confirm who you are. If you will comment, shoot us an email on our website. You can reach out to us. If we can confirm it's you and that you have subscribed, I'm thinking I'm probably going to offer you a discounted price on the Parts Counter Guru hat.
So the best way to do that would be, and by the time this airs, it'll be fixed, but there's a link on our website, and it's called Become a Fan. And if you sign up there, then we have you give us your email address, and then we can send that info back to you.
That's right.
So I would use the Become a Fan link.
Let's do that, and then
what's our website, Jay?
It's www.partscounterguru.com. And by the way, the YouTube is not the Parts Counter Gurus. That's our Instagram account. We are Parts Counter Guru on YouTube. So I think Instagram is the only one that's the Parts Counter Gurus. So So anyway, get over to YouTube and subscribe. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey, you know what time it is?
What time is it? Live from PartsCounterGuru.com. The news.
So, lot of this, and you've got several do we need to have start doing an obituary section
Do you have any
of the news?
Do you have any funeral music?
Trivia music? No, sorry.
No.
That's all I got, man.
Okay. Well,
okay. So,
yeah,
you've got a couple of obituary. You want to do those first?
Yeah, let's do the obits.
Want to talk about those?
Yeah, I do.
So, before you do these, I'm going to say now, you know the game of the three.
Oh yeah.
These celebrities die in three. Don't forget last week, Lee Iacocca.
That's right.
There's your third.
That is right. I'll let you speak on Lee because you're the one that actually sent that over.
Well,
you posted it on Facebook and you beat me to it. You were up before me that day, I guess. And what did I say to you? Give a man internet and he posts, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Yeah, I hadn't had internet in like weeks.
So,
but
yeah.
He had worked as an executive for both Ford and Chrysler.
That's right.
He was with Ford before Chrysler.
Mm-hmm.
Carroll Shelby famously persuaded Lee Iacocca to fund the first Mustang.
Right.
So that was Carroll Shelby's project.
Right.
Lee Iacocca was running Ford at the time. And then kind of went dark for a little bit, and then Chrysler kind of famously got in bad financial trouble. I mean, what's new? They're in financial trouble every 10 minutes.
Was it one of, correct me if I'm wrong, though, wasn't it like Ford's, one of the sons that was running the company at the time? He and Lee really didn't see eye to eye, and Lee's like, okay, I'm just going to move on over here to Chrysler and help these guys out.
Yeah. So I think that's right. So made a lot of changes at Chrysler, but turned the company around from a success and profitability standpoint for sure.
I think in the late 70s and early 80s is where he was most impactful with those guys. The Reliant K, the K car. I wouldn't say it was reliable, but it was a new boxy, small, economical design. It was versatile, 4-door, 2-door. They had several trim levels. But the biggest impact I think he had at Chrysler, man, was that the minivan. I mean, that changed the entire landscape of what every automaker was doing. Next thing you know, you had the Ford Aerostar, you had the Chevy Astro. They were all competing for those small compact type, front wheel drive type. Of course, the Astro was a rear wheel drive, and was the Aerostar also a rear wheel drive, or it was a front wheel drive?
No, I think it was front.
Right. But yes, those three vehicles. I mean, you can thank Lee Iacocca for. I mean, he basically set the tone for that market right through. I mean, minivans were huge. They're slowly falling off the face of the planet just because of the introduction of the sport utility vehicles and crossover vehicles that are much more versatile. But they've changed some things on the minivans, like by putting dual sliding doors to make it easier to get in and out of. There's been so many, and captain's chairs and third row seating and removable seats and stowage, in the chassis or in the body.
Well, I saw the new Pacifica, which Lee Iacocca didn't have anything to do with, but I saw one the other day, and it had the vanity tag said spaceship because it looks like it
really does, man. It's but anyway, what a guy. Lee Iacocca was he really was an innovator, and he pushed companies. And
he was in that, I would say, class with Steve Jobs, Elon Musk,
absolutely,
maybe Bill Gates.
Very intelligent man.
Henry Ford.
Very intelligent man and driven. He he would pick something and he would see it to the end and be very successful at it. So he did a lot for this country, did a lot for the world. But I guess Ford and both Chrysler are the two that really reap the most benefit there. So, but anyway, so rest in peace, sir. Our condolences to the family. He lived a good life, my understanding. He lived a long life, so hopefully he went in peace. So, but anyway.
You've got a couple more obituaries, right?
Yeah. One of my favorite actors, actually, Rip Torn. Rip Torn passed away. I think he was, he was 88 years old. And I'm getting this from CNN Entertainment. Rip Torn, actor best known for Men in Black and The Larry Sanders Show, which I started watching Larry Sanders many years ago. My wife got me into him, and he was just the greatest, man, keeping Gary Shandling or Larry in check. He basically was a psychologist, a babysitter. I mean, he did everything for that guy. He was just...
I would go out on a limb and say that show was maybe a precursor to the Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of humor.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah,
right?
Larry David stuff. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that stuff is so great. The humor is so intelligent, man. I mean, you really have to follow it. I love that. It keeps you on your toes. But I mean, he was Arthur was his character name, but Larry or Gary called him Artie, so he was known as Artie on the cast. And there was one other character also on that, Hank Hensley, right? Or Kingsley, right. Hank Kingsley.
It's been almost 20 years.
Yeah. Hey now. That's Hank Kingsley, right? Yeah, it's hilarious, man. But anyway, so we lost Rip Torn, but he was really, on the big screen, I think, is where most everybody's going to recognize him. He played the character in Men in Black. He was Zed, which was a great character in that as well, kind of keeping Will Smith and who was the other actor? Was the other actor? What was his name?
The first couple, it was Tommy Lee Jones.
Right? Another great actor, by the way. Thank goodness.
Now they've got a remake that's I can't keep track.
Yeah, and Rip Torn was in that one as well, the one that just came out.
Rear view, by the way, rear view mirror sales are up in Hollywood, I hear.
Rear view mirror sales?
Yeah, because it's all they do is to come up with new ideas. They just look in the rear view mirror. Find stuff.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody put it in that perspective, but yes, I get it. That's great, man. That's a good analogy. So I like that. Intelligent, very intelligent, man.
Who's our third in the celebrity obituary triumvirate?
Our third, Ross Perot. We lost Ross Perot yesterday as well. And we all remember him from he ran for president in 1992 as well as 1996. He was pretty successful. He was a businessman just like Trump.
As he would say, you people should know he was an independent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that got him in trouble, right? He used the term "you people."
Yeah.
And,
he did.
I got him in a little bit of trouble.
It got him in a little bit of trouble, but for you and I, Keith, I mean, some of our younger listeners won't remember him as well as we do, but I remember watching him in debate. He had some good ideas. He was a businessman,
Well, I think he had a lot of successes. Probably a very big success, maybe not his biggest. And at the time, I'm sure it didn't seem like a success. It probably felt more like a failure, but he really proved that you don't have to be part of this side or that side, Republican or Democrat.
Right.
It is possible to get elected, and he came very close, and he made a huge dent in the polls. It is possible to get elected without being party to one of those sides. And I sort of feel like, we all felt like, I think, the last presidential election here in the United States, I heard a lot of people going, well, it's this or that, as they would say on South Park. It's I don't know if I can say that on
yeah, be
on
careful.
Here, but
yep.
So people sort of felt like, it would have to be, what else you
Right.
going to do? It had to be one or the other. And I think really the true spirit of America says no, it doesn't. You can, and he showed
Right.
us that you can make your own choice, and you don't have to.
That's it.
You don't have to follow.
You don't have to follow the norm.
Vote
That's the one thing I love about this country, is that you can make a difference if you put your mind to it, and so never give up on it. Keith and I do not like to get into politics, and we will not get into politics on our podcast. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a side shoot podcast, just politics. We'll call it political parts counter gurus or something like that. I don't. Yeah,
I'm all ears.
But yeah,
sorry, that's
a Ross
Perot reference there.
Yeah. Hey, we got it. Hey, fair square. Business.
So do you have an honorable mention in the obituary?
Yeah, man. This is an obituary. This is a loss. This is a loss to the auto industry, man. I was blown away when I found out about it, but I'm also kind of excited because I know that there's some good things coming down the road for these guys. So it is my understanding that as we speak, the last Volkswagen Beetle has rolled off the assembly line in Mexico. Yep, out of production. No more. I think that plant is focusing on another SUV down in Mexico.
So now to be clear, because I want to, I think I know the answer to this, but maybe our viewers and listeners don't. You're talking about the current generation body style Beetle, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Because the old body style Beetle was actually made for many years after sales were discontinued in the United States. It was still sold in other
Mainly
parts of the
South
world.
America and Mexico. Sales were huge. Such a versatile vehicle, and that's why.
Yep. But this is the current generation
Beetle. Yeah, there will be
about.
no longer any production of that version anywhere in the world. I don't know if the old version body style, we can look into that and find out. I don't know that right now, but if it's still going to be produced for some of those smaller countries, outside of Mexico and whatnot. But just a little. So let me read this, and let's see, who is our source here on this. Who did I get this? I don't know who it's NPR. Okay, that's which I like. So I love the way that they. So here's how the story started. It's the end of an era that has stretched on for a very long time, albeit with slightly different silhouettes. The last VW Beetle, a third generation denim blue coupe, will be produced in Puebla, Mexico on Wednesday. That would be the 20. That's today, right?
Is it
it's
the 10th? July 10th? Or is
July
it a week
10th.
from now?
No, today, yeah.
Okay.
So what I like is how they kind of frame this whole story, and it's so true, man, because of what it was and what it became. It's so iconic in this country for a couple of things. It became an emblem of the hippie era in America. Okay, the car was marketed in the U.S. as an adorable uncool. Okay. Volkswagen promoted the Beetle with cheeky advertising campaigns using slogans like "Live below your means" and "It's ugly, but it gets you there." In 1969, one of these things cost $1,799. A brand new and today is, a base model is around $28,000. So just to kind of give you perspective from 69 to 2019 where we're at. So that's a good stretch, man. But a lot of people need to understand who developed the original Beetle, and it was used in wartime situations. It was something that was developed by Adolf Hitler during that era and his reign. And I think that after the war, after Germany was conquered, by the Allied forces that we all know of. I think someone in England basically took it back, took it over, and started production on it, and then they named it the Beetle. It was not originally named the Beetle. So the Beetle is something new just to kind of get beyond the Hitler, just get that stigmatism out of the way, So,
well, and this is an interesting point. So times change, and with those times, public demand and not just style, but features and sort of the requirements that people have changed. And so that car has evolved over decades into, so in the 60s, and you talked about this in some of their marketing campaigns, 60s, it's just a cheaply made, kind of literally produced as efficiently as possible vehicle. It was air-cooled,
it was an air-cooled,
if I'm not mistaken.
engine.
It
was bare bones.
It was
underpowered, bare bones, but it got the job done.
Right. Okay. And then we have the most recent generation, which is more focused on quality and German engineering and maximizing the space and the use, and it's more expensive to produce, right? But the things that people want now are different than what people wanted then. I dare say back, and I don't know this for sure, but this might be a question for your dad. Did people do? There was a guy I was talking to the other day, just bought a new pickup truck and financed it for 6 or 7 years. Back then, did they even do 60-month, 5-year financing on cars? I don't.
It
was a $1,700 car.
I don't know if they did that far out, because we weren't talking about just huge, amounts.
I know houses were back then everything was a sliding scale. So houses were, average house less than 20
I'll
grand.
say this:
I
know that my in-laws, which they still live in the same house. My wife grew up in the same house that her parents are still living in right now. They bought that house brand new, and it was they took out a 30-year mortgage on it. So it was a great home, and it still is a great home. But they had that opportunity for a 30-year mortgage. So I don't know if car loans went out that far, 6-7 years anymore. I think that you kind of wanted to lessen the blow a little bit as look, average cost of a car these days is what, 25, 30, anywhere between 25 and 40,000. So it certainly takes the edge
easily,
off from a financial standpoint of a manageable car payment. Who's got $800 a month sitting around to pay something off? So
right.
So I have to ask. I'll ask my dad. I'll find out for sure. I don't recall. I should know that, but I don't.
I think this is smart. I think that Volkswagen's been in a lot of trouble lately, emission scandals and all that. I know in watching their financials and their statements, it has affected them.
Yes,
financially. They've taken some. Now look, they own a lot of brand. They own Porsche, Audi. Porsche's been in some trouble also. They own. I own a Ducati motorcycle. They own them. They are pretty widespread, and they're almost the Budweiser of automotive manufacturers. The Anheuser-Busch strategy is. Sorry, I said Budweiser. The Anheuser-Busch strategy is when you go to the beer cooler, half the beer in that cooler is an Anheuser-Busch product, or an InBev product, right? So. Heads we win, tails you lose, right? They're trying to just saturate the choices that you have with their product. So Volkswagen's kind of doing that. Just a little
side note on this thing. They brought back the Beetle in 1998, and they badged it as the new Beetle. But they did pay a good homage to it, I think. With the style, the look. Obviously, with modern times, you can do a lot more different things, but. I was really surprised with the number of units that they sold in 1999, which was 80,000 units, man. But it suffered a little bit later on. And again, so it hasn't been, since then, like 2012, it just hasn't been able to attain, a good global status as a.
Well, that's why I think this is a smart move. So think about who that car appealed to in the late 90s and early 2000s. The people that bought it or thought about buying it. Okay. What are those people buying now? And my belief is, and I haven't looked at the data, but I suspect that those that demographic, they are buying EVs. They are buying low emissions vehicles. They are buying, that's a smaller vehicle. They're buying smaller vehicles. So Volkswagen kind of had to take a look at that car and go, yeah, the crowd that appealed to, their needs have changed, and so now we have to come up with a product. They're going to replace this with something in that category.
Certain,
I would bet you.
And I know what that is, by the way. It's an SUV of some sort that they're working on right now. But the main thing is they left the door open. VW has said, we're not abandoning this thing forever. We may bring it back in a couple of years, or if demand is there, we get enough sales, you might be able to special order them, whatever. I think they're open to that. But what I understand is they're focusing more on the EV side now. So while you have the nostalgia of the Beetle, there's another piece of that puzzle, the hippie van, right? The VW van, right?
The ID Buzz.
So in 2022, that's going to be coming out. It's VW made the announcement that the electric van is coming out, and I think we posted something out on our Facebook page about it.
Well, we talked about it on a live podcast, and it was a clever marketing and commercial and all that.
That was we did. We played that during our podcast, but I don't know that anybody could hear that on there. But we should put a link on can we put a link on our website for that? Let's do that. So you just go to our website and mention on the podcast. We'll put a link so you guys can go over there and check that commercial out. It was brilliantly done. I mean, it set the tone for what's going on with VW. Thanks for reminding me of that, by the way.
Yeah. So I've got one here. Okay, so something that we've previously, this all ties into this conversation and previous conversations. So something that we've previously talked about is Rivian, and they did this this concept truck. It was based on an existing truck, so is that even technically a concept? But the concept part of it was the camper part, right? And this is, you actually found this, I think, and sent it to me. But I said, okay, they're going to have a problem with this, because if they're appealing to campers and outdoorsy types, and they've got induction cooktops and all that, it's all electric powered in this truck, you're not coming into this park with a full charge battery. To get to a national park, I mean, look, so we were just in Glacier, right? It's at best 30 miles from the nearest town to get into the park. And a lot of times those towns are just summer towns for tourists, and they're dead in the winter. And, sometimes you're 150 miles from a city, easy, okay? So you run into a situation where if you take that truck into the national park and you camp, you're already maybe at half battery charge, and then you stay there for 2 or 3 days, and you're running the battery down using the cooking, and you get yourself into a sticky situation where you may not make it back to a charging station. Right? Okay. So the other major German car manufacturer, well, there's actually more than two, but BMW, sorry, Mercedes fans, this is from TechCrunch.com. BMW is making it easier to charge electric vehicles near America's national parks. So this in theory solves that Rivian charging problem of the camper truck. Okay.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic.
I love this, because they've identified a need, and I can confirm this as somebody that frequents a lot of national parks, that there
the other thing it does too, though,
Keith,
it opens up the door in the market for a lot of people to be putting out electric campers, man. All electric campers. This is a great thing.
Right. So BMW has finished a nearly 2-year project to bring 100 electric vehicle charging stations to America's national parks. They started this in 2017 with cooperating U.S. agencies, including the NPS, the National Park Service, and the Department of Energy. Already more than 90 of the charging stations have been installed. The remaining few will open this month. Will include level 2 and DC fast charger. So that's your 30, 45 minute hour, to get you 50 to 75%, right? Everglades and the Grand Canyon are two of the locations. Those are also two of the most visited U.S. national parks. I'm surprised about the Everglades.
I don't know why.
I would think like Zion.
Why?
Or, I mean,
why would you be surprised about the Everglades?
Well, it's not
a destination. Yeah,
it's not a destination.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So I mean, to go there.
It's a national park, but it's not like, okay, so Zion, Grand Canyon, Glacier, Mount Rainier, you're going to see something. Zion, you're going to see the rock formations. Glacier, you're going to see the glaciers, the mountain ranges. Everglades
it's a lot of water. Yeah, it's a lot of water.
It's a bunch of swampland.
They have a lot of visitors come, but maybe they're looking at how many visitors Florida gets annually, and what other
but I would argue that they're probably all passing through the Everglades going to the Keys.
Well, I wonder how many bodies are out there,
Well, and look, I'm not arguing that the move to make it a national park protected that area and protected the wildlife, including the gators and all that. It's just not a place that you can go
I wouldn't camp there.
And
just with the alligator issues that they have. Mosquitoes and snakes, and now you've got pet owners that own pythons and stuff that have let them loose, and they're reproducing because it's a very good place to do that. But but let's face it, what else does Florida have? They don't really have another national park, right? They got Disney.
They got
Disney World.
You're gonna put my nerd. They actually.
I wonder if they should. That's where I would have put.
That's not a national park.
Disney's probably already got charging stations though.
Well.
And the whole point of this conversation is national parks, to get people out to parks, and they can do it without having to worry about losing. They can take their, they're not.
So there is a national park now. Castillo de San Marcos, and I'm sure I'm not saying that right, which is in St. Augustine, which is the oldest, famous fort, the Spanish fort. I don't think that's a national park.
It's the oldest,
but it's. Probably a national
It's the oldest city in
monument.
America, isn't it? I think it is. I think St. Augustine is the oldest city in America. I think it is.
So, and I actually have drone footage of that before they passed the laws that you couldn't do that. So, there's another one, and I know about this one because I've always wanted to visit it. It's called Dry Tortugas, and it's south of Key West. So, it is a key that is further south. It is the furthest south you can get. It's past mile 0 and all that. You can only get there by boat or I think float plane or helicopter. But 70 miles west of Key West lies a cluster of 7 islands composed of coral reefs and sand called the Dry Tortugas. There's a Spanish fort there. I think you can camp there overnight, but you have to go out on like a ferry boat or a boat or something like that. The area is known for its famous bird and marine life, its legends of pirates and sunken gold, and its military past. So it's a cool. I have not visited it yet, but there's your other national park in Florida. And then you've got there's a lot of national monuments and memorials, but the Everglades is the
and I've been there just because I lived in South Florida for a time in my life. So I've been through there and I've seen the Everglades. I've been on the airboats and all that stuff, which are really, really cool to ride on. They're loud as heck, though. But yeah, I mean, how else are you going to get around out there? You got to have a flat bottom boat that gets you around. It is exactly.
Swampland,
what was cool too, I was reading in that, I read the same article. Rainier, Olympic National Park. Cape Cod National Seashore also. That's great, man. I think it's fantastic because those are really big national parks that are really good,
Yep.
I wonder how many, now they say 100 of these things they were putting out there. Now, you can't just have like one, like a group
No, they
of
usually
them,
do a
like
couple.
3 or 4. Like, a local Walmart
2 or
here
3.
has electric vehicle.
Yeah. Well, and when I rented that Tesla, I discovered, I just went looking for them, and they show up on, the maps and the nav systems in the cars. And Google Maps actually does a really good job of helping you find all the independent ones, and they're out there. There is a little bit of a parking enforcement situation because, most people do the right thing, but it's always this least common denominator philosophy, which is, we're going to get into this in a minute. But, you have to sort of police the least common denominator, and you get a lot of people with hybrids that think that because the sign says electric vehicle parking, they can park there. Well, you're blocking the charge station for people that actually need to plug in. I experienced that when we rented the Tesla. The guy was writing a ticket to a hybrid who parked in a charging station spot. So that is going to require some policing. The park rangers are going to have to walk around and make sure that people aren't parking in those spots. But because look, here's why, because it's just like your internal combustion engine going to a gas station. If you are low on your fuel source, you pick that as a destination, and your intent is to refuel. If you get there and there's no available refueling, in this case electric charging stations, you got to wait because you may not have the juice to go to another one. Well, this if people that are legitimately charging, they're usually just there long enough to top off. It's the guys that are parking in the spots that have gasoline engines, they'll sit there for hours because they don't care, because they're not mindful of that.
For lack of a better term, they're not really handicapped, like an all electric vehicle would be. I mean, you're
wow, you just call did you just call EV owners handicapped on the podcast?
No.
Hey, you heard it here. I'll play it back if you need me to.
Right. They are gasoline incompatible.
Okay, there you go.
How about that? So we'll just roll with that. So, hey, real quick, though.
Yeah.
You've heard about all the earthquakes, obviously, right?
Yes.
A couple of things I wanted to point out to you, because you're in you've been in 2 locations recently that are actually part of this whole weird thing going on. Out west of the Rockies, which is you were up at Glacier, and of course Yellowstone. I understand that the magma dome rose 1.5 miles recently. There's been a lot. So
they've been having a lot of. There are geysers in Yellowstone that are the eruptions are infrequent. Like Steamboat is a famous one. It goes off maybe once a year.
Right.
And it's gone off like a dozen times already this year.
Yeah.
So they're seeing a lot of volcanic activity in those areas.
That's where I'm going with this. So we've had off the coast since you've left from here, we've had 2 over 6 magnitude offshore, just offshore about 100 miles north of us, but they were pretty deep, so we didn't have any tsunami warnings or any worries. But of course, you've had the big ones down in California, in between like Vegas and L.A., out in the middle there of the state. But I just found out this morning the USGS, that's the United States Geological. What's the other S stand for? Geological United States Geological Survey. Is that? Oh, okay, yeah. Surveyors or survey?
Survey.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, they released information that Mount St. Helens has had swarms of earthquakes there, as well as Mount Hood in Oregon, a little further south.
Yeah.
You got 2 big ones, man. And Mount Rainier is probably the most dangerous volcano in this country, in the lower 48 right now. And when you've got Mount Baker, which is off to the east of me just a bit, has been
almost to the Canadian border.
Correct. It's a little north and east of me. It has been releasing steam the last week. So you've got Mount St. Helens that 40 years ago this year, no, it'll be 40 years ago next year, 2020, right? Is it 1980?
I remember.
Yeah, 1980.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you what grade I was in when it happened.
Well, it's extremely dangerous. And so it blew up almost, it was 39 years ago. So just something for food for thought, that there's some activity going on, and everybody's saying the big one's coming. Well, you've got earthquakes, you've got volcanoes that could erupt, and along with the earthquakes, you got tsunamis. It's just natural disasters that can occur at any time, and there's a lot of people that are freaking out over the deal. But me personally, I'm okay with it. I mean, if it goes, I'm probably in the best place, because I'll be going quickly, man.
And this portion of the podcast brought to you by Lifetime Survival Food. Stock your pantry with the food rations used by the military. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it'll be brought to you by a beer company.
Yeah. Oh, I'll sit out and watch it blow.
Oh yeah, man. You got to go.
There she blows. There's your beer.
Beer
right?
and bread, man. That's all you need in those situations, man. You just lather up with a couple of beers.
All right.
Yeah. So let's move on. What else we got?
So how about something? I was gonna say a little less depressing. I don't know, man.
Sorry,
how about
folks.
a little less life-threatening?
Yeah.
This is something that we have talked about on this podcast many times. Mm-hmm. I have a very firm stance on this as a technology person,
right?
Who understands the tech being used. Mm-hmm. We have repeatedly told you on this podcast to stop trusting Facebook. Mm-hmm. With your personal information. What is this? Let's see. Where did this come from?
Talking about Woz. I saw.
This is. Yeah. So Steve Wozniak.
Yeah.
This is from Gizmodo. Okay. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak deleted his Facebook account last year.
Yeah.
And is now telling everybody else they should do the same. Woz was stopped by TMZ at Reagan National Airport in D.C. and warned that the lack of privacy in the platform isn't worth it for most people, adding a warning more generally, who knows if my cell phone is listening right now. There are many different kinds of people, and some, the benefits of Facebook are worth the loss of privacy. But to many like myself, my recommendation is to most people, you should figure out a way to get off Facebook.
Exactly.
So I agree with that. And as a first step, I would say just delete the app from your phone.
Right.
Okay. You can still go to the website. You can still go to the website on your phone.
Right.
But the app does not have the permissions that. I'm sorry, the website does not have the permissions that the app has, and so all that listening and all that, if you get rid of the app, it can't do it.
Exactly, and it doesn't travel with you, so it's not tracking where you're at. And
right, you close that website when you're done. And,
which I want to segue into.
Now, you can't use their messenger, which sucks, but you shouldn't be using Facebook Messenger anyway.
Who cares,
use
man?
SMS
I never use that. I mean, I get
don't.
Yeah. And not only that though, you're opening yourself up for trolls too with a lot of things too. But
right.
You sent me a text. Let's talk about that text.
Yeah. So by the way, tell everybody where to find us on Facebook, Jay, while I look this up.
Well, you can find us at facebook.com/parts counter gurus. You can also find us on Instagram. It's the Parts Counter Gurus. And let's take a moment to talk about where our podcasts are at. If you go to our website, which is partscounterguru.com, there is a podcast link tab up in the upper left-hand corner somewhere.
It's up at the top.
It's up at the top somewhere, yeah. So you can go in there and find us on just about every platform: Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Google Play. you name it, we're on it. So give us some love. And then also, of course, don't forget our YouTube channel. It's Parts Counter Guru. And please subscribe while you're there. We need the help.
Thank you for those of you that have subscribed. As I always famously say, I don't care if you listen, just subscribe.
Just subscribe, yeah.
So now look, and this is a friend of mine on Facebook, and it's somebody that I grew up with, and I'm not going to name him because I didn't ask for his permission. I will tell you that I have known, and I think everybody knows this, but then I see posts like this, and it kind of surprises me that they don't know, that Congress has... I'm going to use the word summoned because I don't know if it was a subpoena or not. But Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook has appeared before Congress. There have been security issues before. The whole scandal with Analytica.
Man, you caught me off guard. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I mean, and then there was Prism, and I mean, it's just like this is not even close to being the first time that there have been security issues.
Right.
So they have a pattern of behavior here of not caring about your personal information. So this is what my friend posted. So if anyone is still not sure that Facebook spies on us, check out this. I have never looked up anything that has to do with a Jeep Compass. Good for you. Ever.
Yeah.
Someone who will go unnamed hit my Mustang, damaging it to the point I have to get it towed to the body shop. My rental car is a Jeep Compass. And what in the unholy depths of hell is this? An ad for Jeep Compass in my Facebook feed. And he's posted a picture of it. And then there's some stuff in here I can't repeat.
Right.
I'm about to leave Facebook for good. This is ridiculous. Plus, onto all of this, the Jeep Compass sucks.
Which it doesn't even deserve.
Now, this isn't me. This is him. I'm just reading.
Right.
Okay.
Well, let me go ahead and speak on that Compass, which was that's a joke for Jeep to even be. I don't know what they're not. It's not even whatever. I mean, don't get me started.
My response to him was that Chrysler has gotten into the business of making disposable automobiles.
Pretty much.
So that's, but, or FCA or whatever they're calling themselves. So,
Fiat.
Yeah, so apparently, to recap this, he went and rented a Jeep Compass, so the only way that, in theory, Facebook would know was if the app was listening, right? Which has been proven before, and they've been caught doing it, so it's not the first time, again. So... Look, man, if you don't get it by now, you're not going to get it. But, I mean, just as one last-ditch effort to persuade people, your privacy does not exist with a Facebook app installed on your mobile device.
Right.
They are listening to everything.
Right.
And they are probably watching what you type and send and using that for marketing.
I know that they are. I mean, I use and you've told me 100 times you need to get rid of that thing off that app off your phone, and I haven't done it yet, but I will be getting there. But I can be searching something on my internet service on a home PC, and all of a sudden I have something that shows up in my feed on Facebook exactly what I was searching for.
Yeah.
If I go to Amazon and I
targeted marketing.
I purchase something, there's an ad for something similar to it. Folks that bought this.
Well, some of that is based on search results, and that's cookies, and that's a whole other podcast, and there's a whole...
Right.
The European data protection that's in place now, where you see all these pop-ups that say we use cookies, and they have to warn you and all that. But yeah, like, there's no doubt that
here's the other...
Facebook is using that to sell ads.
It is a huge invasion of privacy. I mean, they get deeper than that, people. I mean, here's the deal. When you can go with your family to a casual dining experience with your phone, and you walk out of the place, get in your car, and you see that you have a notification from Facebook saying, "Oh, we see that you were at such and such restaurant. Would you please take a moment to give information on it?"
Yeah.
That's an invasion of privacy. I don't care how you slice it and dice it. That is an invasion of privacy. And they are...
Yeah, and to work right, the app has to have location access.
Facebook is...
Or you lose features of the app.
Facebook is evil,
so
man.
My only question to you is, if you delete that app, who's gonna update our social media?
I'll still have to,
because that's mostly
I'll
you.
do it from my, and again, that's the only reason why I have it on my phone, is because it's convenient. When I see something going on, I can post some things from it,
right.
And I don't know how. I mean, there's some big stink about it recently about if you delete your account, it's never really ever gone. You got residual information. It just kind of hangs around out there. So, but
yeah, well, Facebook tells you that it's permanently gone after a period of time. I want to say 30 days, might be 60.
Well,
that's what they tell you, and I know this because I've done it, and I got that message. Now, I do have a Facebook account, but I don't have any personal information in it. So,
well, speaking of tracking, I found something too. You may have read the article. I put it in our shared information about the wearable technology. Like Fitbits and stuff like that. Yeah. So I found this in the Washington Post. Wearable technology started by tracking steps. Soon it may allow your boss to track your performance.
Yeah.
The rise of wearable devices such as the Apple Watch and Fitbit offers us the ability to turn our daily lives into a never-ending catalog of interpretable data. How many steps we take, the number of calories we consume, our REM sleep cycles, and even the health of our hearts. Now a team of researchers at Dartmouth say those wearables can serve another purpose, determining whether you are a productive employee or not. The data obsessed may be quick to embrace such an assessment, but what if an employer has access to that information as well? So here you go. Do our bosses really deserve to know that information? And I heard an argument on the news about this, that if you're not feeling well, or if your mood is not good, you're having a bad day, that they can track that information. It knows if you're nervous or if you're upset or whatever. Let me just say this: you don't need a Fitbit app or an app like that to find out how I'm doing it. If you get off your fat rear and from behind that desk and come down and talk to me every once in a while, like you don't do now.
Well, there are metrics you can use to evaluate performance.
Well, but you know what I'm talking about.
Performance-based metrics.
Bosses just need to learn how to be leaders.
So once again, we are catering to the least common denominator, meaning we're worried and focused on that small percentage, 5%, 10%, whatever, of employees that aren't pulling the wagon. I have said this so many times. I don't need a self-driving car. I don't need... This AI thing is not going to end well, man. We've all seen the movies. We've all seen Terminator.
No, you're right.
It is not going to go well. It is, and it will be too late, and it probably already is by the time... Elon Musk, of all people, has warned against AI. So it's not going to go well, man. You got to quit. Like, it needs. I saw a commercial the other day on television talking about, we can do better with AI, and it had some prominent social figures in it. And I'm like, no, we can't. I don't need it. I don't need it. It's nothing but trouble. And it is for the bottom 10% that can't pull that shouldn't be driving anyway. Right? Like, let's be honest, right? Okay? We have public transportation, we have Uber, Lyft, whatever. Like, figure something else out.
Right.
Just
I know.
Okay. So speaking of the least common denominator, and do you have any more news articles before I just blow a gasket?
I have tons, but it's okay. We can save it for our next podcast. But we've covered a lot here this morning. So,
all right. So, on the way home from Washington State, and when I say Washington State, I really mean like the farthest northwest corner of the continental United States. Okay, like it's up there. We wanted to see Rainier, and the weather worked out.
That's fantastic.
For that. And something that is here, all you guys working on AI, I'll give you something to work on. This is where you can focus your efforts. Okay, figure out a solution for a navigation system, whether it's Google Maps or whatever, where you can put in, I have such and such length vehicle or such and such height vehicle, and then you don't take me down side streets with branches that are 6 feet off the ground, or a bridge with a low clearance or something that now I'm backed up in a place where I can't get turned around in a 2-lane road. Like, that's the kind of stuff that gives RV owners anxiety.
Man, it just kills you.
Because you get into a situation where you can't turn around, and it's really bad. So we drove across, I think it's Chinook Pass, and I've got the Google Maps up here, but going around Rainier, and that's fine. Like, I researched it first, and there's other RVs up there.
Yeah, that's to the. Was it to the south
bad.
or no of Rainier, or is it to the?
It's to the east,
southeast. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, southeast. And 410, I think, is the road that we took to get in.
On that road,
you look to the right, and there's Rainier, and it's beautiful. Okay. So I did my homework first and made sure, that I could pull, 39-foot motorhome pulling an 18-foot trailer, and I wasn't going to have any, and it was fine, and we had no issues there. I learned a lot in this process because there are some things that I didn't plan for or think about, and so I have a Toyota FJ, and I choose to tow that on a flatbed car hauler trailer. Now, a lot of guys with motorhomes tow what they call 4 down, and they tow Jeeps. And I had a conversation with a guy 2 sites down from me while I was staying in your backyard, and he said, well, that's your problem there, man. You just got to go buy a Jeep or something disposable, and then you just beat it up. And I said, well, that's not me. Like, I like taking care of cars, and I use what I got, and I'm not putting... I'm not turning the rubber, and I'm not putting miles on the car. I know the odometer's not moving, but that's... And Toyota's not as friendly to towing that way anyway. Like, they don't want you doing that.
Right.
Okay?
No, it can ruin it. We had this conversation. It puts miles on the vehicle whether or not you're
so, look,
conscious of it or not.
And then you get into, like, well, those things that they use to tow 4 down, those are more expensive. Those are twice the price of a car hauler trailer.
And you can't back up.
And you can't back up.
Right.
And I helped a guy in the middle of Nebraska who pulled into it was a Pilot gas station. Pilots always serve big rigs and RVs. Well, this one had the weirdest configuration I've ever seen, where all the fuel lanes were in diagonally and the turn was too tight to get. And he was pulling 4 down, and he had a little Honda CR-V behind him, and he couldn't back up. And his wife had to get in the car and disengage the steering interface. So he's turning the rig wheels, and she's trying to match it in the car. And I'm out in the middle of the intersection trying to stop traffic for the guy. And so I'll take my trailer
hassle,
every day. Okay.
Absolutely.
So so on the way across Chinook Pass, somewhere on the downside, I think, I had what I think happened was I had a hub seized up, a bearing seized up, and it damaged the hub on my car hauler trailer. Now, this thing was less than a year old. There's no way those axles would have, or those bearings would have need to have been repacked or greased or anything like that. It didn't have that many miles on it that it would have required that, or nor did it have the age to require that. Okay.
Right.
By the time I noticed it, and there are no pull-offs, there are a few, but they're not great on the way down.
Right. Sure.
And by the time I was able to deal with it, we had probably gone 30 miles. It had heated up. I thought it was a piece of debris that did it at first, but what I think happened was a burr or something on one of the bearings, and it heated up the wheel, and it shattered the it shattered the hub. Those hubs are some kind of composite material, and it just got so hot and it started to fracture, and then it blew off the cap, and then grease was flying everywhere, and So what I did not know, but I now know, is that you can actually tow those things on 3 wheels.
Right.
It still probably would have cut a groove into the... I mean, unless I could have pulled the wheel off, I guess.
So the spindle...
Cut a groove into the spindle.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Messed up the axle. Because
now,
drove it long enough that bad bearing just kept biting into the axle.
I never noticed when I saw the trailer, but does it have the Do you have brakes on that?
It's got brakes. It's got electric brakes.
Okay, great.
So I think I know where you're going with this. Did it damage the brake?
Yeah, I was going to ask, because you and I never really got, because you needed to go, and we never really got into any discussion about how deeply it was damaged. And
right. So
my point to you was, when you first called me about it, was you need to get that thing off the road,
right?
Because you're carrying load, and
right.
But it was too late. You lost the entire hub.
Yeah,
it was gone.
Because you just can't feel that stuff.
No,
in a big rig like that. So I was close to Yakima, Washington. The bad part about this, the sort of compounded problem was, I did not have a space big enough to unload the vehicle on the trailer, but I didn't have cell phone service either.
Right.
So kind of a double whammy. Couldn't call for help, even if I had a spot to stop. So we eventually pulled off. At that point, I think I was 15, 20 miles from Yakima. You and I talked. You said, dude, you're in like farm trailer, utility trailer central, and everybody and their brother sells these things out there. And you were right. And they're everywhere. Okay?
Yep.
So I take it, I call like half a dozen tire shops. I go to Napa. I buy a hub assembly. The problem starts with no one can get parts on the weekend, but they all assure me that they're easily accessible on Monday. And this was like on a Friday or Saturday, okay?
Right.
Which, as I'm then running around to various auto parts places, I'm not able to find a match for this hub either. And I'm thinking, oh boy, this is...
Which I found interesting, because I did a little research on that as well, and typically it's a standardization, amongst trailers, and so there's
not that many
actual
axle manufacturers in the United States, okay?
Right, yeah.
So I left it at a tire shop. I talked to these guys. They assured me that they could find the parts for it on Monday. I made a promise to my family. My wife's words were, before all of this happened, like while we were still with you, my son if he does not make it home for Independence Day, there's going to be some big disappointment, because there was things planned and all that. And so in the back of my mind, I'm not saying this to my wife, but I'm like, yeah, I got to get him home. All right. And I'm also thinking, well, this could turn into we've all seen how these go. Monday morning rolls around. I've now lost 2 or 3 days. And then the guy says, I either can't get the part or I can't get it until the end of the week because it's got to be shipped. And now I've lost a week and a half.
And he's coming up to you going, how much money you got on you?
Right.
We can get something done for you.
So this was my wife's idea. She said, well, look, Jay said, look, we're in the middle of Utility Trailer Central. There's literally every half mile a place selling these things.
Absolutely.
Let's buy a new one. Let's put a for sale sign on that one.
Yep.
And let's take off.
Wise decision.
That took all day, but that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. It's the right decision, and even after the fact,
What I found out later confirmed that it was the right decision, because the tire shop that I left the trailer, and I left the key with the guy, he calls me on Monday and he goes, yeah, this is a custom part, and I'm not even sure it's going to be legal in the state of Washington, and this axle is going to have to be a custom axle. And I was just like, man, what are you talking about? Like, this trailer is still made. Yep. And I live in Tennessee, but this company making these, they're not doing 10 of these a year. Like, they're doing hundreds of these trailers every month.
Right. You would have to have a seriously experienced... metal fabrication shop that could get it in, and you might have been able to save it, but they may have had to have like built up on the spindle and then filed back down.
And
you can do that. Yeah.
Just this is another example of, and okay, let me do a little sidebar here. Okay. Now this was a nice guy, and I don't want to throw his name out there, but he had sort of overstepped his experience a little bit. And we had a great parts counter conversation, and he came out, and I'm pulling the wheel off, and he's not charging me, and he's helping me cut. He brings out a grinder and cuts the hub, cuts the bearing off. And how many times have you and I go to a hardware store and said, and I know we're not alone in this. Hey, do you have X?
Right.
And then they'll look at you like my dog sometimes does when I'm using more than 3 words together.
Yeah.
Like, he does that little.
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't know what you're talking about.
That's
but
right.
But instead of saying, I don't know, or I don't know what that is, they say, no, we don't have that. How many times, Jay, have you walked down the aisle, spent 20 minutes until you found it?
Exactly.
And then there it is, right?
Right.
And I used to, and I don't do this anymore, but I used to, if I would find it, go back to that person and go, hey, here they are. This is what it looks like, and it's in aisle 13.
Right. So if you have someone else like me, next time. Yeah,
right.
For the next guy, yeah.
This is what that is, right?
Yep.
So that's what happened here. I've never seen this model axle before equals
right.
This is a custom product.
Right.
Which is not true.
Right.
So I put an ad on, I think, Craigslist, and I had the sucker sold within 15 minutes. Because
it's a great trailer.
Yeah. And it was less than a year old.
Yeah.
So the guy buys it, goes down to pick it up, and the guy at the tire shop comes out and says, this is going to be a custom axle, and I'm not sure you can license it in Washington State.
Yeah.
It's not legal. So that guy walked, okay?
That's a bummer.
So a couple days later, I went back through the list of people asking to buy it, and a couple days later, another guy came and picked it up, and we had, did our whole electronic money transfer thing, and he's driving off the lot, and so that morning, the tire shop guy calls me and he goes, hey man, when are you going to get this thing off my lot?
No pressure.
And I said, I've got a guy coming to get it today. Thank you for letting me keep it there that long. It'll be gone today. Okay? Guy buys it. I tell him what's going on. I tell him, look, I'll even help you find an axle for this thing. There's a sticker on the side that says something along the lines of conforms to all federal U.S. safety federal Department of Transportation regulations in all 50 states or something like that. So I knew this whole can't license it in Washington was nonsense. Okay.
Right. There are restrictions on sizes, however, but that trailer was normal.
It's under it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now they do have some specific requirements that trailer would need to have added, but they're not a big deal, and I'll mention those in a second. So, as this guy, the second buyer, is driving the thing off the lot, now keep in mind, the guy at the tire shop just called me that morning and said, when are you going to get it off my lot? As he's driving off, this tire shop guy comes running out and goes, hey man, did you check the specs on that thing? I'm not sure you're going to be able to license that here, and that's a custom axle, by the way.
Wah, 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 wah.
Right, and I'm like, do you want this thing gone off your lot or not? You're working against me here.
Right.
So the guy took it, and I just said, look, I know we don't know each other, but you're going to have to just kind of go with me on this.
Sure.
I've called the dealer that I bought it from. They're going to get you the part numbers.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. It worked.
So now fast forward 3 or 4, we had a Independence Day in there, and a couple of these places were closed on Friday, and so kind of fast forward to all this. I have had several interactions with the axle manufacturer, who is in Arkansas.
Okay.
And they are sending the guy in Washington that bought my trailer
right
a new axle, a new hub, and a new brake for that wheel.
No cost or
warranty.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Now see, look, you know what? We've gotten into a couple of things on our podcast.
It's a year warranty.
Right.
But that guy at the tire shop literally almost screwed the deal because he's running around telling people this is a custom axle, and again, I don't know equals can't be done.
Right. Anything can be done if you try, and apparently the guy was not even willing to try anything. It was, and sometimes you have people that think they know it all, and they've convinced themselves that they know it all.
Yeah, well, and again, nice guy, not trying. I don't think there was malicious intent here, but this is something that you and I pointedly are mindful of on this in life, but on this podcast, which is there a chance I could be wrong, or is there a chance that there's information out there that I don't know that could affect the outcome?
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so,
absolutely.
And I'm thinking through that in this situation while this whole thing's unfolding, and I'm like, is it possible that this guy's right and this is a custom axle?
Yeah.
Sure, it's possible. What is the likelihood that someone is custom building axles for a car hauler trailer where they're selling, hundreds of these a month? No, it's not very likely.
Right.
They're dealing with a major axle manufacturer who's shipping these to them in bulk, right?
Sure,
that's the likelihood.
Yeah,
it's less than a year old. The company's probably still in business, or there's still parts floating around, even if they're out. I mean, all of those things I'm thinking through, and I'm like, sure, it's possible, but it's not probable.
Right, and the thing is that guy just did not know the source. Bottom line, as with anything that you purchase, there are going to be certain designs that are proprietary.
Right.
But standardization, if it's got a tag on it that says it meets those requirements for the federal standardizations and those sorts of things, typically they're not going to veer away from that. But it would be a design, like an improved design or a different design from a competitor that separates the competition. But it doesn't mean they're not going to have a box full of these things sitting around. I mean,
now Dexter, I've had Dexter axles before, and I know Dexter stamps their model numbers on them.
Right.
One of the problems with this one is the hub nor the axle had the manufacturer on it.
Yeah,
so
it
did have a stamp with a model number and a manufacturer.
Yeah.
No, actually, I take that back. It did have the manufacturer name, but when they spray painted the axle black, a little bit of the overspray got... you can still read the tag and the part numbers and the manufacturer date, but the manufacturer name got a little bit of black over the top.
Right, so it was a little obscure. You couldn't make it out. Yeah.
The guy at the tire shop did not crawl underneath and look at the stamp on the back of the axle, which I later had, the guy that bought it found it, and
nice guy.
The place where I bought it told me to go get that info, and
nice
then they
guy
just went
though,
and
huh?
got it.
Nice guy though.
Yeah.
Well, hey, here's what I say to that. Look, you're not getting paid to be nice, just nice.
Well,
you're getting paid to be knowledgeable, man. I mean, come on, people.
And so this least common denominator thing, right? So again, now you guys have some laws in Washington that I don't care for in these trailers, but he's going to have to add to this trailer, but it's not a big deal.
Right.
So it has to have brakes. That's fine. It
Sure.
has brakes.
Yep.
It has to have what's called a breakaway switch or a breakaway cable.
Yep.
Now, most towable RVs have these by law.
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen a car hauler trailer be required to have them, but it is a requirement there. The problem that I have with those things is that they're worthless. That you have safety chains for a reason.
Sure.
And if you hook those safety chains up properly, if your hitch comes loose, the safety chains will do their job.
That's right.
They're load rated to do it. So now we've got a third failsafe in the form of a steel breakaway cable.
Yep.
Which is if you're too stupid to hook it upright on the trailer hitch, and then you're too stupid to hook up the safety chains, now we've got to have a break. So how about you're just too stupid to be pulling a trailer, and then we just get away with number 1 and 2.
Just
right?
Go on home and don't even think about it. Yes.
So here's why I don't like those breakaways, because on a previous travel trailer, I had one, and there was a cardboard box, a piece of debris on the road.
Right.
And I straddled it so I didn't hit it with a tire. And it went underneath my truck, and it went underneath the trailer, and it caught the safety cable and locked the brakes.
Holy cow, man. What happened?
And I had...
Did you...
So the way those breakaway cables work is there's a fuse. And when you pull the steel cable, it blows the fuse.
Right.
That fuse then cuts the ground or something, and it engages the electric brakes.
Right.
And it locks them.
Right.
It locks them.
So how fast were you going when this happened?
65, 70.
You're just smoking the tires.
I melted the brakes. I had to replace the axle.
Oh, my God, man.
Yeah. Yeah, because it took a minute or two. Like, it didn't stop. So when you're pulling that much weight, and the only thing that breaks is the trailer, brakes, it's not enough to stop you.
Right. I
had the cruise control set. Just kept going. But I heard it kick into passing gear, and I started going, I think something's not right.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, and I'm looking around, and another couple miles goes by, and then I look down, and I look at my brake controller, and it's flashing.
Yeah.
And then I pull over, and it's just, they're melted.
God.
Because I pulled them for 2 miles locked up.
Holy moly, man. Wow.
Which is not far, but it's far enough,
No,
right?
yeah.
So I hate those things. Then Washington State has gone a step further because apparently people, what's up with these lowest common denominators in your backyard, man?
I don't know.
So apparently they're not hooking up the electrical connector for the trailer.
Yeah.
And if you don't hook that up, the breakaway system doesn't work because there's no power going to blow that fuse,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So now there's a state law that requires that you have a battery backup box on the breakaway system, and it's literally capable of running independently of you having an electrical connection.
So here's a question for you. Is there not any other...
I mean, we're 4 levels deep into redundancy.
But is there not
point.
another state within the United States that requires that same law? I mean, is Washington...
We don't in Tennessee.
Is Washington State on an island? I mean, maybe we should check some of the other mountainous regions, like say Colorado and areas like that you've been in.
Okay.
But you haven't had issues in those states, so that's why you wouldn't know. But
I digress. If you hook up your safety chains properly,
yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no reason
that breakaway cable makes no difference.
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't get away with just the 3 that you had. So anyway, yeah, you're right.
So, but those are easy add-ons and they're not that expensive, and he can put that on the trailer because it's already got brakes. You just tie into the electrical system and you're done.
Right.
I mean, it's less than $100. So anyway, so the guy bought the trailer. It looks like he's getting a free axle out of the deal that wasn't even promised to him, so it all worked out. What I have learned is several things. Number one, I'm probably going to carry an extra axle and hub with me.
Now, where did that tip come from?
You.
There,
Number two, you can unload if you can find a spot and tow that thing on 3 wheels with no weight on the trailer.
Right. It wasn't a desperation move on your part to get the other trailer to get home. I don't think it was a desperation thing. I think you just realized what you were up against, and time was not your best friend, and that was it.
It wasn't, and I ended up with a little nicer trailer, so it's cool.
Things work out for a reason, but that was the right decision too. So here you go. Now here's the big question: did you get the little one home in time for Independence Day, and how was it?
We got home, and everything went well, and and mission accomplished, right?
You are a hero.
Normally, I'm a little bit better of a MacGyver than I was in that situation, and I don't know what threw me off my game. But normally I'm a little better than that.
Well, the enormity of it is what, because that's a huge. No. It could be a huge job if you don't have a torch and a welder. The parts are one thing, man. But if that thing had seized to a point or worn so badly to where it was not.
There's usually a solution. I've had tires go out on me before in tow vehicles, and couldn't get them off because the truck was big enough that you can't get them off without an impact tool.
Sure.
And I've still been able to solve there are ways. And
the best thing that could have happened, and I think we discussed this after the fact, that you could have backed off your FJ,
right,
and you could have towed it without a load on the 3, and it would have been fine. Now the guys
at the tire shop, and I do agree with this, said the damage was already done at that point. Like unloading it and towing it on 3 wheels, the bad bearing had already done damage to the axle. Because they said those things heat up in no time, in a mile.
I think those spindles are, I think they're made out of 1045 steel. They're designed to give. That alloy is designed.
I just ran my fingers under it and could feel the groove.
You could feel it. Yeah. Well, I mean, you could build all that back up if you get the right. If you get the right fabricator involved, man, and you didn't have a part available, you can build that back up with the right rod.
But
and you just file it back down. And they are. They can be, for sure. So, well, good, man. I'm glad you made it home safely, and that the outcome turned out the way that it did, and now you have a happy new trailer. And now you have a guy out here in Washington State. I hope you put a Parts Kind of Guru sticker on it somewhere so I can identify it when he comes by me.
It does have a Triune Trailer Sales from Frank.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, from Franklin, Tennessee. But yeah.
And for those of you who don't know anything about Triune.
No.
If you're into medieval stuff, they have a nice medieval festival there.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, and it's quite fun. I've been to it. They have the live jousting
I was going to say, man,
and
there's very few places left in the world where you can watch jousting, and that's
jousting, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool. And they have the guy where it's at. There's a castle there. You can see it from
built
840
a castle.
So it's pretty cool. So if you ever get, if you're into medieval stuff, and you should check out the Renaissance Festival there in Triune, man. It's easy to get to, guys. It's right off the freeway, and it's pretty cool. So, okay. So, all right. Do you have anything to add to that story?
That's the end. It's,
okay. Well,
I learned a few things, and
Well, I did too, because after we were talking, I was getting online and looking at I kept finding the same thing, that most of these things are standardized, and I knew that because of bearing sizes and those sorts of things. The spindle size itself, but it might be like how it inserts into the axle or whatever. I don't know, but there could be some different things there. But glad that you guys made it. Everything is cool, and you got a happy guy, like I said, here in Washington with a new trailer, and he's got an axle coming. So I hope it comes in handy. So the one thing that I want to do before we get off the podcast here is I want to ask you about your hat today.
Right. So doesn't it kind of speak for itself?
Well, it does, but I just felt like you needed to have the platform to go ahead and poke your chest out, pal.
No. I'm just having my own little self. I'm not one of those that I need to sort of rub my stank on everybody else. So, my entire life, I'm a couple years younger than John Hamm, and he's the one that made this famous last month. But the St. Louis Blues have never made it. They have never won the Cup. They have never won the Stanley Cup. Okay?
Right.
I was about to say they'd never made it all the way, but then I realized people won't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So there have been some playoffs runs, and there have been some times when I got pretty excited as a kid, but I never got to see them.
Yeah. A pretty big rival of the area that you live in for the Nashville Predators as well.
So to be fair, I moved here to Nashville. So I grew up in St. Louis. Moved to Nashville in '95, which was well before they had a hockey team. So I was kind of grandfathered in that aspect. So anyway, was out in the middle of a national park in the Badlands with satellite radio, listening to the last game, and got pretty excited. But so congratulations to the Blues. It was fun. It was a great thrill. It was nice to see it happen. And so
that's awesome.
And I've always loved their logo, and I've still got a jersey.
Oh, me too.
And to the people that would say, "When you just went out and bought that hat because they want." No. I've got jerseys from the '90s and 2000s of. You may not know this, but Wayne Gretzky played for a year or a season.
I did
for the Blues. He got passed around at the end there, quite a bit.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine in the industry that lives in St. Louis. His company is there. He is a manufacturer of head saver shims. For those of you that don't know what a head saver shim is, basically it's a sheet of cold rolled steel that's anywhere between a couple of thou, could be as thick as 10.
They go
20
in your
thousandths.
valve train to adjust the valve clearances and that sort of stuff in the top part of your engine.
Well, basically, it is what it is. It's a head saver shim. Yeah. When you have a cylinder head that you have to mill, it has a specification of how thick it has to be in order to have the right installed height and the adjustments and everything.
Right.
Basically, what this thing does is it mirrors the head gasket, cylinder head gasket, in shape and oil holes, water passages, and those sorts of things, and it basically becomes it mounts to the decks, the block deck. And it builds up that surface again so that you can save the head and continue to use the vehicle and the engine, and you're not trashing the cylinder head. So anyway, he's a good friend. He's a Blues fan, and I hadn't heard from him in a while, and I left him alone because I'm superstitious when it comes to you don't give sort of like a pre-congrats.
That'll kill it, man.
As a matter of fact,
it came down to the seventh game. It was
Yeah, it was a great series. I'm so happy for the Blues. I'm happy for you, my friend. Long time coming. You guys have been sniffing it for years. Yeah. Always a great program there in St. Louis. I love it. So anyway, congrats, man.
Thanks.
Good on you. Good on you, man.
So one more time, you want to do our social media links and website and all that?
Yeah. So we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Facebook is facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus. You can go to Instagram. We are the Parts Counter Gurus there. If you go to our YouTube channel, we are the Parts Counter Guru. Oh, no, it's not it's Parts Counter Gurus. When you get to our YouTube channel, please subscribe while you're there. Every subscription really helps us out, and thank you in advance if you haven't already subscribed, and thank you to all of our current subscribers. We really appreciate it. You can check us out on our podcast links. Go to our website, which is partscountergurus.com. If you go up to the left-hand side of the page, you will see a tab there that says podcast links. Choose your flavor.
That's right. It's got all the whether it's Apple or Android or Google Podcast, Stitcher. We got them all linked.
It's all there. It's all there. Also, too, from time to time, we try to mention things on our podcast that we talk about that you can purchase. We have a mentioned on the podcast link there too, and you can purchase that. Basically, you purchasing that through our website, it helps us out.
Amazon.
Through who, Keith?
Amazon.
That's right. We also have a nice link up top on the right-hand side of right there, the right-hand side of the page to Amazon. Click through. Go ahead and sign in. We don't see who you are, what you're buying, or anything like that. It just helps us out.
Hey, so Jay, if I'm gonna buy like a box of cereal from Amazon.
Yep.
Should I just go ahead and go to partscounterguru.com and click on the Amazon banner to do that?
Absolutely.
Now, does it raise the price of that?
Nope.
Okay.
Doesn't raise prices.
What if I wanted to buy like that Exploding Kittens game, but I didn't want anybody to know that I was buying it?
We'll never know. That's between you and Amazon.
You can't tell who bought it, right? It's anonymous.
No, but Facebook will know if you're
oh, right.
If you're
well,
on
that's
your phone.
We don't. No. But we don't have anything to do with that, right?
We don't have anything to do with that. No, that's
okay.
Facebook.
Sorry, I didn't mean to pull you off. You got me excited there on the. Yeah, click through Amazon
cool.
and buy all your like tchotchkes from Amazon, but go to our website first and click through.
Exactly. It helps us, folks. Seriously, we're just trying to continue to do this, and your subscription on the YouTube channel. And then also purchasing through Amazon from our website, it helps us out. We travel when we do these things. We're out constantly shooting video, all that stuff. It takes time and money, and
axles.
Every little bit helps. And axles. And we want to keep doing this. We're having a blast doing it. And we feel confident that we're helping people out. So that's what our goal is. So, will take us out?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Good. Nice job, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Until next time, that is Jay over there. I'm Keith.
That's Keith.
Money may not buy happiness, but I'd rather cry in the seat of a Jaguar than a bus.
Oh.
How about that?
Nice.
See you later, everybody.
Nice. Take care. Handicapped, like an all-electric vehicle would be.